It's hard to understand the way that you went out. I bet you're living with a little hint of doubt. Maybe next time when you gotta show your hand, you won't cut and run, you'll finally make a stand. 'Cause I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. We're not through. Yeah, I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. Existential questions always get you down. All you want to know is are we lost or found? Is there something that you feel you need to chase? I bet you thought you put me in my place. 'Cause I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. We're not through. I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. Yeah, I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. We're not through. Yeah, I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. You can run, you can hide, but inside, I'm finally getting to you. Yes, it's true. I still love you, but I am getting to you.
Stand by to initiate release sequencer. On my mark. 5,
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2, 1. Mark.
Welcome back to the Resupply with me, guy next door.
Me, DK.
And me, Than, Steve-O, why are you laughing? Screw something up already?
What
Don't
do we
worry about it.
do?
We're bringing you your weekly, semi-weekly double tap of all things Space Marines and Laser Force. I may have hit the button a smidge early.
That's
Could
just
have been
like
worse.
you. That's just like you, Steve-O. Always going early. Always going early.
Just always early. Yeah. Mean start. Hey everyone, welcome back. It's time for our famous famous show, the Resupply. How you guys doing? Is everything all good?
And you know, it's this is definitely one of those work weeks where
Oh shit!
it got done today, and I just went, cool. All right, this week is done.
Done and done.
Fuck this week. Yeah, fuck this week for various reasons, some of which we're going to get into later.
Yeah.
But
quick,
yeah,
real
that's
quick.
just ready for this
Salty
rest.
Heathen has just resubscribed, and he's been subscribed for 3 months, which is about how long we've been running this live stream for. So thank you very much, sir.
Nice. What a loyal heathen.
Oh yeah, he'd be one of the first, I reckon.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Probably so. Stuff is good here. It's no longer 1,000,000 degrees and smoky as the bowels of hell. So I was actually able to go for a run outside in the middle of the day today. So
Ooh.
Yeah, get them bowels a shaking.
hey, we keep that kind of thing off the stream. Don't talk about my hot steaks on air.
Please go to Be Right Back.
Just remember, kids, they don't call it the runs for nothing.
Trade, you're right. 30-second ads. Yeah, feel free to subscribe. The ads go away when they do.
But
Hey, Steve-O, you haven't hit the button so that chat shows up on the stream.
Yes, I have.
Where?
you're just not refreshing enough here today, buddy.
Yeah, I think
No, it was not there. The first thing that popped on was Heathen popping in about the Josh and the Jet Noise shirt, which yes, Heathen, that is indeed a Josh and the Jet Noise shirt that Steve-O is rocking tonight. Because we still have merch for sale. So, go to joshandthejetnoise.com and buy our fucking merch. That'd be great.
I mean, yes, Al, you're correct. It has been there the whole time.
It has?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay. That's all right.
Okay, this should tell you the caliber of how my week has been. Okay, so let's just go with that. That is how my week has been.
Well, fortunately, we don't have to rely on Than for the entire show because
Good thing.
one of the reasons why I made sure to go for a run outdoors today is I feel like I need to start getting back into game shape because there is a tournament in the works in our lovely COVID-infested United States.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about something else.
No. In Auckland as well, but there's a safer. So, to talk about this proposed tournament that's coming up next month, in just under a month actually, we have one of the organizers, one of the living legends of St. George, Tandaor himself. We'll bring him in here
in
just a second.
Down here. Look at that. That was seamless.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
How are you doing, bro?
Doing all right. How are you guys?
Very good. We highly appreciate you coming on and giving up your precious family time to be with us for a little while, for the sake of talking about Laser Force. Because
Yeah, dude, just hanging out. It's cool.
That's right. I mean, I'm excited about our tournament, right? Our tournament is going to be great, but I'm glad that you guys get to have something over there as well. I know a lot of people were looking forward to coming down. Due to unforeseen circumstances, the world ending and shit. Flights got cancelled, and tournaments followed suit. So, yeah, I'm glad that you guys get something as well. I do feel bad for Australia. Particularly Victoria.
Particularly them. Yeah. Brisbane at least is still playing.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, when restrictions lift, you guys should do something in February or something. I mean, that would kind of make sense. But anyway, we're not talking about that bullshit today. We're talking about your guys' tournament, which looks to be kind of interesting.
I think it will be.
Yeah.
Why don't you give us the lowdown here, Adam? Tell us about the tournament.
Yeah, so I think the mindset that we had going into this tournament was we've been very lucky in that our site reopened really quickly. I know a lot of other states have just had difficulty being able to get their sites up and running, or at least be able to, just because of different state laws, things like that, mandates. And so we've been blessed. We've been able to play a lot of laser tag, and we wanted to share that with everyone else. Because I feel like, especially during this last year, laser tag's been something that a lot of us have realized that we've kind of taken for granted. Addie, sorry, my kid just came. Right on cue. Right on cue. Addie, I'm in the middle of something. I don't know. She's out there, sweetheart. Okay. Honey, I'm actually talking to you. I need you to go out, sweetie. Okay, close the door, please. I knew it was gonna happen. I even did the rundown with my wife, and I was like, "Listen, I'm gonna be live. Like, I'm gonna be talking." But it's all good. It's better.
Tandaor, the real MVP.
Yeah, it's better than when I'll be like, because we've been doing remote like hearings for like with the courthouse and stuff, and I've once or twice it hasn't happened to me, but other attorneys like their kids have like walked in the door and stuff like that, and it's pretty funny. The judge always gets a kick out of it. So
This is just the world we live in now.
Do you have
Just
the
roll with it.
the dictation person read it back? Be like, can you read back what
Yeah.
my kid just said?
Yeah, exactly right. So anyways, going back to what we were talking about, like we wanted to host a tournament that allowed people who weren't able to play very much come and play in a safe place, and really, like, I think more than anything, be a tournament of friendship, healing, and just therapy almost.
That's cool, man.
And that's what the whole goal of this tournament is, and that's why we did the format the way that we're going to do it, which is we're trying to, the way we're hosting it is it's going to be a random draw. Me and DK have kind of gone over teams and selected what we think's fair, and the goal is, we're not having an actual like finals. It's just going to be round play. There's going to be a point system. We're thinking about in the very last, like, I think we're going to have a captain's meeting most likely and talk about if we want the last round to mean more or less, depending. But for the most part, the idea is let's get everyone together, let's play some freaking laser tag, and let's have some fun. I'm excited.
Yep, because you never know when it's going to go away. So I certainly don't want to take it for granted anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
Go right ahead.
Agree about Laser Force being like a healing tool for fanatics like us, where for so long, we've said it on previous podcasts, like so many of my major life moments have revolved around Laser Force, laser tag. And so for it to then disappear, it leaves such a monumental hole in people's lives. So to have it come back, and especially have it come back where you can bring people from out of state into one place, which during the pandemic is iffy, but if handled correctly, like, is such a good positive thing for people. It's really cool.
Yeah. Excuse me a sec. I'm just going to move my camera because I just got the warning on my phone that my battery's almost dead. So I guess your stream is just killing my battery, man.
Well, you are on par for how we roll here on the Resup, which is with as
I
many
heard you
technical
guys are really
difficulties as
professional.
possible.
Yeah, we're
Extremely.
apparently
Extremely. We'd never have glitches. We'd never just drop on us randomly. We never get disappointed faces that we're about to have our computers just crash.
Yeah, if something freaks out and we get a big old Tandaor head, then you're part of the family.
So what are the dates for the tournament for those who don't know?
Let me just pull this up right here on Facebook. So the tournament is this upcoming October 18th, 19th, 20th, and 21st. And on the 18th, we're going to do a practice day. That's going to be a Sunday. Primarily, I'm anticipating like the people who are traveling mostly playing that day. I assume some of our newer members will play as well, but I anticipate like some of our members, kind of like Detroit, they didn't really play at last Nats on the practice day. It's going to be similar to that. I don't have like an exact time, like 4 p.m. is when we're starting or 5 p.m., but it's going to be around that threshold, like mid-afternoon, early evening is when we'll
Early
start.
morning. No. Early morning seems like a terrible.
Yeah.
Well, early morning will be the tournament
evening.
days, right?
Yeah.
Yes, those will be the tournament days. So that's the 18th Sunday, and then the 19th, 20th, and 21st is going to be running kind of like when we did West Coast back, I think in November of last year or October of last year, whenever we had it.
20 years ago.
It feels like forever ago, yeah. But it's going to start at 9 o'clock in the morning and we'll run till about 5 p.m. And then what I'm doing is I'm still working with the site owner on specifically regarding okay, how much is it going to be per person? And then my hope, and this is what I request, is that we're going to have basically a flat additional amount, let's say $20 on top of the tournament registration fee that people can opt into paying. And that would allow people to play laser tag when the site wasn't being used by just walk-ins the rest of the evening. So during all the evening. So hopefully if that is approved, people will just be able to get into games all night long, all 3 days. Because I think that's why people are coming, and that way it gives a little bit, for some of the people who maybe are newer and don't want as a competitive setting, they're able to still get in some fun games, maybe different game types, and just I think it should be really cool. And that's kind of the idea I had behind proposing that to the site owners. So we'll see how that goes. There's still things in the works, but yeah.
Well, I'm definitely down to play some extra games because I need to get well over 3,000 on I Play Laser Force. I'm only 10 away now, so I'm sure I'll get there, but I need to mark off some of those, like play 15 games in one day achievements over at the St. George site. So I'll for sure do that. I am just going to have to schedule like 1 or 2 hours away after we finish the tournament games for the day so I can go back and actually have office hours since I'm still supposed to be doing my job that week.
That's
so overrated.
I'll have to go back to the hotel and log on, check my email and whatnot. But hopefully I won't have a bunch of students being like, I don't know how to history.
Yeah, we all know how much college students take advantage of office hours.
Oh yeah,
right.
Big time, especially like midway through the semester when there's no immediate work due. So I'm not anticipating too many problems with that, but I will have to make sure I schedule some time in between games to go back to the hotel and do that. But that sounds really cool. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Did you say the 17th? 17th of October?
No,
The
October
18th is
18th. The 21st, yeah.
Right on.
And we do have a Facebook link that everyone, like a tournament page. It's called the West Coast Random Draw. If you go on Facebook and type that in, you should be able to get access to it. I don't think it's a closed group, but I'm sure you can request access to it if you don't have it.
It should just be on the tournaments page, and then you can click on the event.
That's right.
So yeah, beyond that, we should probably though address the elephant in the room, which is we are in the middle of a pandemic. So what kind of steps are we going to take to try to keep everybody safe and healthy? Because although St. George is one of the lowest areas in terms of
need right there.
of cases and infection rates in the country, not everybody playing the tournament lives in St. George. So we do need to be mindful that we're having people coming from different areas. So what kind of things have we discussed off air in terms of keeping people safe?
So the good news is we do have like guidelines that you wrote up, and unfortunately, because I had to switch my thing around, my stand is like right in the middle of my screen. So
that's fine. I can go over them.
Go through it. That'd be great. Yeah.
I didn't want to have you on and just have you sit there and be like, "Yep, yep."
It's called fire hose and delousing powder. Those are the top 2 ingredients.
That's only for the Kiwis and especially for Crypt, so he doesn't get me sick like he did at the last West Coast tournament.
We're gonna have a big vat that's just full of anti-infectant, and you just gotta jump in it in between every game.
I would love to see like that, but then also mixed in like a slip and slide down a hill, but instead of using dish soap, you use hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer?
Yeah.
There you go.
So that's step one. I think one thing that we kind of suggested is that we want to keep people from switching vests too often, because obviously that's going to be one of the main vectors if there are any germs to spread and whatnot that people can get. So we'd kind of been thinking that rather than do what we've done in previous tournaments where you have like the play ref sit format, is that in case where you have a match, we'll just play both halves of a match back to back. So that way players can keep the same vest on in between games. The head ref can just switch the color on them. And then immediately after each match is finished, you take your vest over to the disinfecting station, essentially, spray it down a little bit, especially the phaser. Make sure you clean off the phaser real well where all the spots you've been touching.
Yeah, that's good advice. That's good life advice.
Yep. Always keep your phaser as clean as possible. Yep, that is.
We're gonna take a page from the match of one Tom Baker and just disinfect your vests quite religiously and quite rigorously to make sure that you're not spreading that to other players. So we do need to. I'm not looking at the chat. So what's everybody saying?
Nothing. It's all in here, man. It's all in here.
Yeah.
The adolescent in me is just like, but keep going. I hate
Grow
to.
up.
Yeah, I know.
Grow up,
Right?
G&D.
Constant professional. That's what I am.
So we'll play the games
One
back to
side
back.
note about Vest real quick.
Mhm.
I don't know if everyone knew we have Gen 8s, so that's one thing that's pretty exciting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So we're
gonna be
playing
fun to
with
play
the
with.
good vests, not that
Yep.
Gen 6 and 7 trash, you plebs.
And we've had plenty of time to figure the IR out. I think the first day we had it turned up to 100%, and everyone was dead all the time. It was awful.
I remember that.
So that's why I was getting random lock-on sounds in Sacramento.
Damn it! You stole my joke.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit.
I just came out of my bathroom and I was like, boop, boop, boop. Like, what was that?
So what have you actually dialed it back to? Do you know? I mean, obviously.
I don't know.
You-
Yeah,
you-
I know that it
It's
feels
100.
good.
so used to
There's one wall that occasionally you can get like IR readings off of if the resupply is sitting too close to it. It's one of our resupply boxes, but it happens so rarely that it's not that big of an issue. And so in my mind, as long as that's not happening, I think it's in a pretty good spot. And you can shoot across, the arena for the most part and tag people, so it's pretty good.
Cool.
No off the roof shots like they had in Brisbane.
No, nothing.
None
like
of that kind of nonsense.
No, that garbage.
So yeah, so players will keep the same vest in between games. The head ref will just switch them to the different color for the second half of the match, and then we're just gonna make sure that we disinfect stuff in between games. Stuff as far as like out of games, we are gonna ask that people have their masks on in the lobby just to prevent further exposure. In game, for various reasons, we probably can't have people doing that, but certainly in the lobby, people should count on wearing masks, and just as a measure of respect to everybody else, keep your masks on when you're not eating and try to maintain that distance of at least 6 feet away from other people wherever possible. If we could, it's not going to be super hot in October, I don't feel like. So if people want to have conversations, doing it outside is probably a little bit safer than having people in real close proximity in the lobby anyway. But just, I think keeping the masks on will be safest for everybody, and we should try to make sure that the tables and chairs and whatnot are staggered to facilitate that kind of distance.
Yeah, we had a comment
sounds good.
in chat saying the refs going to be wearing masks.
I think that would probably be best. There's been some talk about how many refs we actually need, since this is a little bit more of a casual tournament, and B, we would prefer to minimize the number of people in an enclosed space, because obviously the more people we have, the higher chances of transmission if there is anything. So we may just only have 1 to 3 refs in the field at all, and it probably would be better if they wear masks, because they're not going to be running around and getting their face quite a sweaty. So yeah, I think it would be good if refs will be masked as well.
Smart.
And one advantage to our arena, we don't use the upstairs primarily for safety purposes. There's fire what is it, the fire sprinkler system runs across the ceiling, and if you're over 5'11" and a half, you're hitting your head on piping.
Yeah,
So don't go up there, Dylan.
your upstairs
Yes, exactly.
is dumb.
Your
so
upstairs
dumb.
is done.
It is.
How's that feel?
I
mean,
I went up there the other day to spectate a game, and I realized I hadn't been upstairs in 4 years. And I was like, wow, this is weird up here. So the advantage is, though, refs can go up there and actually see a good 70% of the arena from up there, and be able to shoot people too, just the way it's situated. It's so open to the field and to our entire maze. And so we can have refs up there who can monitor, especially chasing. I think that's going to be the number one issue in our arena, just because of the nature of how it plays.
So maybe we just have a couple of refs up there, and the
Yeah.
one head ref to watch the armory and switch people colors and whatnot. But
Yep.
yeah, if we can
and then we'll throw a guy
minimize-
underneath the one other base, and we'll be good.
Yeah, and just in general, we have to recognize that these are extraordinary circumstances and that we're lucky to be playing laser tag at all. So just to everybody coming to the tournament, just please don't cheat, and please, don't assume that other people are cheating if they accidentally have an infraction. Let's keep it in the spirit of fun as much as possible and recognize that, the reffing is probably not going to be what it is at a usual tournament, because we do have to keep these other kinds of safety regulations in mind.
It's pretty much the approach that we've taken for our tournament as well. Kind of by force. We only have enough people to have 3 refs at max. But yeah, same sort of thing. Like,
yeah.
I think
Now,
people understand.
what has the facility been doing in the meantime? Since I know that you guys were relatively early to reopen over there in Utah, Adam, what kind of things have the employees or the site been doing just to keep things clean or safe, or just cut down on traffic or whatnot?
Honestly, it's basically the same things that are listed in the guidelines that you have already posted. I see them wiping down the vests pretty often. A lot of them are wearing masks. I can't remember if they have. I know that I'm sure everyone has seen those stickers like "Please stand 6 feet apart" that every business has. I don't know if Laser Mania's got those or not yet, but I mean, people have been keeping pretty far away from one another. I think it's just general. I think guidelines that we have. We'll have some additional ones just because of the nature of what we're doing, like keeping your vest on in between games in a match and so on and so forth. But
that's probably a big one.
Yeah, it just cuts down on the possible vectors and things like that. I mean, we have had the conversation that really we just need to be mindful that because we have players traveling, everybody is taking a risk by coming to this. If nobody is infected or if nobody is a carrier comes to the tournament, we're probably not going to have any transmission. If there is somebody, though, who has something, it's going to be really dicey, and we have to just take as many precautions as we can, but nothing is going to be 100%, especially in the US. Everything is a managed risk right now, so people need to just be aware of that. So I guess like the big thing, something that I didn't put on the original, but I gave to you in the updated copy, Adam, is I think we do need to be fairly clear on this point that no player can be admitted to the tournament if they or any of their cohabitants that they're staying with at the tournament, if they're exhibiting respiratory issues, persistent cough, flu-like symptoms, all those boxes you have to check if you go to the dentist or something like that. They ask you all those kinds of questions here in the States now. Have you had a cough in the last 2 weeks? Have you had a fever in the last 2 weeks? Any of those kinds of things? No. I know we all want to play laser tag, but it's not fair to anybody to endanger people's health. So I know, at least for me, I'm paying a little bit more than I probably otherwise would for this tournament so I can book my own room and cut down on risk by not staying with others. I know not everybody has that option, but if you are staying with other people, I think that's something we need to be mindful of, is that everybody who's staying with you has to be of sound health if we're going to pull something like this off. We can't have people doing what we often do during laser tag tournaments where, I'm feeling a little under the weather, but I'll just power through.
But I'll just lick DK. It's fine.
Yeah,
Dallin. Jeez.
Interesting question.
I've already told my wife that if any of my kids get sick, they're going to my mom's house for 3 days. So it's just we're shipping them off and they're gone.
Your neighbors oh no, never mind. We didn't discuss that on stream. I just remembered. Interesting question from chat. So are you guys able to get tested? Is like voluntary testing a thing over there, and is that something you guys are kind of pushing for people to do?
It unfortunately depends a lot by state and a lot by locale.
Right.
Adam, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
I was just about to say, I saw an article someone posted on Facebook just today about
that's accurate.
I haven't read. Yeah, I mean, it was from St. George News, less intrusive testings available or something like that.
Right.
And so I haven't read it, but it seemed like the idea was that there was testing available, and it was going to be a little easier to get testing done down here. So I don't know. I need to look into that and see if there's any claim on that. So
Yeah, it would be great because I put this kind of under recommendations, so they're not official kind of rules or public health guidelines for the tournament, but that was one of them is that if you can get tested before you come to the tournament, I think that would be great because then we can have a lot more peace of mind if people know that they're not carrying it or something like that. And obviously, if you come back with a positive test, do not come to the tournament.
But it's fine. I'll wear a
I
mask.
feel like that should go without saying, but we're saying it now. Another thing that I would advise for people is get your flu shot before you come. It's going to be a really bad flu season as well, and you certainly don't want to have the flu and mistake it for COVID or vice versa, or get ill at all, because there have already been stories about people who are simultaneously infected with both, and it's a really nasty situation.
Brutal.
So I'm going to get my flu shot next week. I would encourage anybody who's planning to go to the tournament to do so before they go to St. George, at least like a week or two in advance, just to also
Especially
stay healthy that way.
generally when you get the shot, you exhibit symptoms after, like even minor symptoms, right? So
Some people do. It kind of varies
you
from
kind of want
person to
those to
person.
subside before you actually,
Yeah,
travel, so.
yeah. Don't do it the day before you come, because then if you're on the plane and you're like, I don't know if I feel great, then yeah, I don't want you around.
Tucker said that he knows any Lovelanders that are going can get tested completely free. Did you read that on
Good to
Facebook
know.
also? No, just
Good to
jokes.
know.
Right on. What was the next point?
I would suggest that people only stay with other people from their home site if they are booking accommodations together. And really, it would be better if you're only booking with people that you're sort of in regular contact with, so you're not adding, further kind of the contact points and things like that. Because there are plenty of people who are actual family who are coming to this tournament. If they're rooming together, if one of them has it, the other one already had it anyway. But that's just another thing to be mindful of. I know that, like I said, I'm paying a little bit extra to have my own room, which otherwise wouldn't do. But I think that's probably just a smart idea, is outside of the tournament, if we can minimize just further exposures outside of that. Bring hand sanitizer, I would say, if everybody has their own hand sanitizer. Just mist yourself with it constantly.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of getting a super soaker full and just.
That's going to be the secondary port on the phasers, actually. It just sprays hand sanitizer.
That's awesome. I got resupplied, and also the back of my neck is sticky.
Are you sure that was hand sanitizer?
Blimey.
Just throwing that out there.
I know this was kind of a point in particular with some of the players who are thinking of coming from New York, who may not be able to come at this point because they have travel advisories for their state. But that is to be prepared to quarantine when you get back to your home state, because we are assuming this risk for ourselves. That's one thing. But again, we need to be mindful that in a pandemic, it's not just ourselves that we're talking about. The last thing you want is to get COVID, not know that you have it, be a passive carrier, and then pass it on to somebody else who is in a higher risk group that a grandparent, a teacher, somebody who is more elderly. So take the time. I know not everybody can quarantine, like stay in their house for a full 2 weeks when they get back, but please be mindful of that kind of thing, to take some time to quarantine, to isolate yourself, and not just kind of jump back into the general public, because we know that's how this thing spreads. I really don't want to see any news stories about Laser Force that we became the next super spreader event, because we've already had enough of those.
Yeah, we're looking at you, Beans. Bloody New Yorkers. Yeah, right on.
Other suggestions that I had would be like just to minimize contact with the general public while we're in St. George. Obviously, people are still going to need to do stuff like eat, and if we're playing the after hours games, we might not be able to completely avoid the general public. But the fewer people outside the tournament we have contact with, if we treat it more like a kind of bubble situation, like they're doing with various sports leagues, the safer everyone will be. And that's both for us and for the general public and anybody else that we come into contact with.
Eating is so overrated.
What's that?
Eating is so overrated. Nobody needs to eat for the entire
I don't think I have to eat.
Don't take away eating from me. That's all I have. Clearly.
Obviously.
Yeah. Hey, I'm allowed to say it. When you say it, it's hurtful. Fucker.
Have you met me?
Yes, I
Yeah,
have.
and just observe guidelines for social distancing and not congregating overly during meals. I know one of the major things that we always like to do is everybody goes out to a restaurant after hours to maybe go out for food and stuff like that. Yeah, go to Denny's. Go to what's the place down the road from you guys? Adam Cafe Sabor, is that the Mexican place?
I think so, yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, it was really good last time we were there.
Uh,
But that's again the kind of thing that probably we shouldn't be doing in this kind of environment. If we want to, order something on Grubhub and people are eating 6 feet apart in the parking lot, hey, that's fine.
Shantytown.
Hey, bring on the public park barbecue. So we'll leave the awards dinner to be organized by Taipan, and we know that everyone will be safe.
You might get food poisoning because everything is not cooked.
But yeah, just obviously, don't share drinks, don't share food, stand far enough apart while you're eating because you're not going to have your mask on and that kind of stuff. Just let's not be stupid about this, guys. Like I said, I think that we can do this in as safe a manner as possible while still acknowledging that it's a risk without being just throw caution to the wind and say, whatever. If I get it, I get it. Because we do need to bear in mind we live in a society.
I misread your hashtag, heathen. I read it as Basis genie. That's not what it says.
Not even a little bit, bro.
That's that
Not even a little bit.
quality New Zealand education shining through right there.
For which one of you?
That's gonna be our slogan now for the tournament.
Basic
genie.
Excellent. What do you got next, DK?
That's it as far as like the kind of guidelines and recommendations that we had. Adam, was there anything else you wanted to mention about stuff that we have going on during the tournament?
I don't think there's anything else in regards to safety precautions and so on and so forth like that. I do want to mention that the rosters aren't set in stone yet. We still have players who have expressed interest in coming and playing. We've had people who have also said, hey, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it just because of work or because of, I know the New Yorkers are worried because they can't get over here without having to basically lose their jobs. So that's probably not going to be an option for them unless things change. And so it
seems like that would be a really poor choice for them to go to a tournament and risk losing their jobs in some cases.
Yeah, what are you, me?
Exactly. and so, but that's the basic point that I wanted to emphasize is the teams are not set yet. If you're interested in coming, please reach out to one of us. Particularly me or DK or Thunder, and we'll kind of let you. We'll definitely keep you on our list and on our rosters of working into the system. So,
do you guys have a rough count of numbers at the moment, or?
Right now we're sitting at about 4 teams, but it fluctuates between having 2 or 3 too many to right around that number, just kind of daily, almost. I literally have people telling me every day, hey, I can't come, or hey, I can come. So
yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, I know, right?
Well, we may need to make some
every
last-minute adjustments. But yeah, I think kind of the goal that we had was just to try to get the teams relatively balanced. So we had a whole conversation between some of the various site reps and experienced players who know who's coming to the tournament about, well, look, what are very, very relative kind of skill levels of different players, and even if we're not doing a formal salary cap on this, can we make sure teams are of relatively comparable value? And I think we came up with a reasonable solution. Now, if some players start dropping, we need to swap things around. That might just need to happen. But the way that we had it set up, basically, every team has
we take off and nuke the entire
probably
site
2
from orbit.
top-level players, 2 kind of good, solid mid-tier experienced players, 1 player who's probably up and coming, maybe a little bit less experienced, but has maybe been to 1 or 2 tournaments, and then 1 fairly new player. in that regard. And most of the teams are somewhere along those lines. I've gotten messages from, I think, like I said, 6 or 7 different people claiming that various different teams are stacked. So I feel like if I'm getting all kinds of different opinions about which team is stacked, they're probably pretty balanced. But hey, your mileage may vary. And again, the random draw element of it, I think, will make it so that that's going to control a lot of the outcomes for many of the games anyway. If you get the newer players to draw 3 hits on one team and the experienced players draw 3 hits on the other, well, it doesn't matter if one team was stronger than the other to begin with, if the draw is way off. But I think it'll still be fun and interesting, and I'll just be happy to play at all.
And how I've been describing it to people, I really feel like this tournament's going to feel like an extended members night where, all the members are together. We're at this tournament. Like, you have your set players that you're playing with. You're swapping up positions every game. You're going against these other teams. You're getting a sense of, that competitive spirit in that it carries over from day to day. But overall, I want it to be more of like, everyone's in it to have fun, to get better at laser tag, and to just really enjoy themselves.
I mean, it's hard to do at a laser tag tournament, enjoy yourself, but
yeah, super questionable. It's always
that's why we didn't invite Than.
That's true. I ruined everything.
Or Mr. Rage Quit over here hosting the podcast, who literally walked away from Thunderdome Thursday.
I mean, if you haven't watched it, there's a couple of clips that are floating around. It's a moment of glory. And if you're listening, Smalley, I blame you entirely. Enjoy not receiving your merch.
That was a classic New Zealand non-apology right there.
I mean, sorry. So did you guys, like, in terms of how you guys pick the teams, did you just leave that up to the people that are attending, or was there a cup involved?
Initially, it was very open, and there was kind of a lot of behind-the-scenes discussion about what proposed teams were, but it came to be that we were discovering the teams under discussion. Some of them already had like 5 or in some cases 6 very experienced players. Like, well, that doesn't really seem quite right. So maybe we just need to have sort of an open forum discussion. And rather than just saying it's going to be strict random draw or the teams will be pre-selected or something like that, like, hey, who do you want to play with? Who do these people want to play with? Well, I know these players wanted to play together. Can we work this out in a way that's kind of fair and equitable to everybody so that the teams at least have a relatively good shot at each other? So I think there was conversation, there was compromise that was involved, but I reached out to, I know at least players from my site about how they felt about playing with some other players, or if they wanted to stay together, if they wanted to play with people from different sites. So I think we tried to find kind of a rough balance between those things. I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Well, and the nice thing was Team 3, which I think is probably the most balanced team, they had already formed their team. And I think we might have added one person on, like they had a 6th spot open, but for the most part they stayed the same. So it was more of we were working with generating these other 3 teams, and it was like, okay, let's identify, these top players, the middle section, and then the newer beginner players, and just see if we can't mix them up in such a way to make it fair, and it ended up working out. So should be pretty fun.
So what are these current provisional rosters, let's say, so that that we can throw our 2 cents in and see how this goes, because we're not opinionated on this show in any way, shape, or form, and this won't engender any type of discussion, I'm sure. So
you want to do the rosters, Adam, or should I go off my list?
Yeah, I can talk about it.
Yeah, man.
So for Team 1, we have Thunder, because he's number 1. And then
Stack
Beans. Yeah. Beans, Disco, Crypt, Applesauce, and Trix.
That's a good team, man.
I thought it was Twix.
Disco is...
Is it Trix or Twix?
This is Trix.
I thought it was Twix.
Oh, I might... It's written Trix online. It might be Twix. I don't know.
Twix. Trix.
Sorry.
It's either a candy bar or they're for kids. Yeah. One of the 2. Another
Sorry.
MVP.
Dad, can I join Team
Yeah.
One?
Just depending. I might have to cut this short.
Okay,
so.
okay.
That's fine. That's
Yeah,
fine. We're glad we
anyways.
got you on for the first part.
Anyways,
if you need to go, we understand.
No, so team 2 is DK Slaughtermelon from Colorado, Ace Knight, who now lives in Texas. Actually, he hasn't been on our site for a while, but he's definitely played enough in our site. Autumn from SAC, Cody from New York, and Minette from SAC, right?
SAC. Mm-hmm.
That's, yeah.
Good team.
And then team 3, Dylan, Soy Boy, Sleep for the Week. They're all from like the San Marcos, Chula Vista kind of hybrid.
Chula Vista.
Going on over there.
Chula Marcos.
Yeah.
Marco Vista.
Yeah.
Marco Vista. That's what we
Yeah.
settled on.
Yeah, they're all from Chula because fuck San Marcos. Anyway, moving on.
And then my brother Snuffles, his friend Logan, and then Freddie, and I don't know where Freddie's from.
I think he's also a SoCal player.
San Marcos. Yeah. And the last team is headed by me, Tandaor, Kadama, my brother Noah, and this other new guy Leonard, they're brand new players. They'll be swapping out games. Odin from SAC, Chaser from our site, he's less than a year player, and then Stalker, who's from SAC. But we also have Venom and Inferno. Venom from SAC and Inferno from St. George, who both expressed interest in playing. And seeing as how the New York guys at this moment in time won't be able to attend, we'll most likely be slotting people around. So like I was saying earlier, the teams are going to fluctuate. I know they're going to change at least a little bit at some point. So
I like those teams.
Yep.
It's a good mix of like.
I'm at least looking forward to playing with Ace and Caleb, so I'm hoping I can at least keep that kind of core of the team together, because I've never played with either of them, but I like both those guys. I think they're really cool, and I've wanted to play on a team with them for a while. So, I'm just at least looking forward to that aspect.
Ace is okay. He's all right. He's not bad.
Anyways, well, I should probably get going. I need to help my wife out with some stuff. So I appreciate
thanks for coming
you guys
on.
having me on the show. If anyone needs to, you can reach out to me, Facebook Messenger. I'll try to answer back. And the nice thing about Facebook, if I don't want to answer you back, I can just leave you on unread. So
Thanks so much for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Wow, what a savage.
Yep, definitely.
All right.
Have a good one, guys.
Thanks, man.
See you soon, Adam. Later.
Yep.
Back to the 3-person setup.
Boom. That was also seamless.
Mostly. It was mostly seamless.
You got a half a fan for a split second, and then boom.
Just a split
Just
second.
a split
Just a
second.
split second.
So,
That's all right.
Obviously, you guys have seen these teams a wee bit. Have you guys got any hot takes on what you think of the teams?
I mean, like what DK said. I mean, with the reshifting, I mean, all those teams are relatively balanced. I think, as you know, and like DK said, the fact that he's getting messages from multiple people saying that different teams are OP relative to other teams. I mean, that is usually a pretty good sign that the team breaks are pretty decent. If there's such a difference of opinion from people looking at the teams and everybody's picking different teams as OP, probably you've probably got a pretty good mix at that point. I'd be more concerned if like everybody was hitting DK going, team X is way OP compared to everything else. I mean, if at that point, if you're getting just one team that people are saying that team's OP, maybe you've done it wrong. But it seems like
I think there might be teams that end up being stronger than others, but I think at this point, because a lot of people are really out of practice at this point, and B, they're all within enough hailing distance of one another that I don't think you can clearly say like, well, this team is so clearly stacked against the others. Like, yeah, okay, maybe you think that one team is clearly the strongest, but I don't think it's like so much stronger relative to what one of the original proposed teams were that had Baden, Venom, Kodama, and Slaughtermelon that were all playing on the same team, and I was like, what?
No.
How's that even remotely fair?
So I suppose like that's kind of the whole point of why we have nationals region locked, right? Because of that, to hopefully not have that happen on an international level, which I suppose at this point it's not really a thing. But do you guys wanna put yourselves out there and tell me who you think the OP team is, or your pick for OP team?
I don't think any of the teams are OP.
Yeah.
But in true keeping the form
Yeah.
for the resupply, I'll tell you the team 2 is definitely going to win.
I mean,
it's not OP, but we're definitely going to win.
That team has one of the GOAT players on it, so should do pretty well. Greatest of all time.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
And then when you guys finish 4th, I'm gonna laugh, but
I'll just claim the draw was stacked against me, so don't worry about it.
Asterisks, big old asterisks right there.
This entire year has an asterisk on it. Why should this tournament be any different?
We got dicked by the random draw. Asterisks.
We got dicked by COVID.
That's why the back of your neck's sticky. So
Blimey.
Sometimes it's best to bottle that noise up. What I'm kind of excited about is that we have our tournament, and then like the following week you guys have yours. So that's gonna be like 10, over the span of like a 10-day period where there's gonna be some hopefully quality Space Marines played on a not a large scale, but a good time.
Quality-ish.
Yeah, a good time, not a long time.
Yeah.
Longer than normal.
Quality-ish. It's not going to be...
I feel like it's probably good that we're only expecting about 4 teams. I mean, because again, the smaller we keep this, the less chance of something bad health-related happening.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
Well, I did see that the Germans were all actually very distressed that they actually weren't able to come to the St. George tourney since they had they were able to come last year, which was a blast meeting all of them. And it was just like, that's just not going to work with current travel restrictions in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And I know that Beans and Cody were really disappointed about New York regulations saying that if you go to any of the states on this list, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks when you get back, which not everybody has the option of with their job. But yeah, just the resupply as a whole does not encourage the breaking of state or local law at any level. So yeah, please be responsible for it. And like I said, there's no technical law in California that's forcing me to quarantine for 2 weeks when I get back. But I'm going to do it just because I feel like as a responsible person, that's what I should be doing. Because it's one thing for me to assume the risk for myself, but not for other people around me. I'm fortunate enough to be working from home. If I were still interacting with students on a regular basis, I don't think that I would probably attend this tournament just because I'd be too worried about bringing something to the tournament or bringing something back. And I just don't think that'd be a good situation.
I think you're right. If you're in a position where you can do it, I mean, you probably should. Plus, you get a 3-week holiday. Huzzah. Holiday.
It's not really a holiday. I'll still be working even when I'm there, but
don't lie.
Yeah, I mean, I've just discussed this with a lot of players, and I'm not insensible to the idea that this is a risky maneuver to bring people from multiple states together into an enclosed space where you're going to be doing something that's at least a little bit athletic the way that we do it, with a lot of extra respiration and stuff. And yeah, if somebody's infected, that could be a really bad situation. Yeah. So we just need to do everything that we can to be sensible of that, while still saying, look, if we can try to do this in a way that we are not being massively irresponsible, people really want to play laser tag and are just looking for that social connection that a lot of us have been missing over the last few months. And because everything is managed risk in the US at this point, obviously going to play a laser tag tournament is a luxury, but nothing that we're doing in the States right now is completely risk-free because we botched the early stages of controlling outbreaks in the US. Just everybody's kind of trying their best at this point. So that's all I can say.
hate to brag, but nailed it.
Yeah, you guys did. There's no other way to say it. We botched the early stages, and we just kind of blew it here in the States.
Was there anything else about the tournament you guys wanted to discuss?
I don't know. I feel like we've beat the tournament into the ground. I feel like,
but that's not the only thing that we need to discuss this week.
That's right.
No. There are definitely a couple of other things that are one of them I feel like is potentially going to send both DK and me onto either a rant or something, and the other one is more just kind of sad on a wider laser tag perspective. So do we want to do the wider laser tag one first so we can save the rant for in the end? I feel like that might be the better order to do that in.
Before you get there, I don't know if he's around, but if he is, Wolfman, happy Southern Hemisphere birthday, or at least our New Zealand time zone birthday. Obviously we live in the future, so meh. But yeah, let's proceed with the disappointing news.
So
why didn't you tell me this earlier? Shit.
Probably because you haven't actually been talking that much. It's been more DK, so people didn't actually notice.
Oh, but my witty banter.
Witty banter? Okay.
Yeah. No, that's my middle name. It's a hyphenate.
So the wider laser tag news that is kind of depressing just because it's a negative impact for the industry as a whole, is Laser Quest North America has basically closed. And for those of you that are in different hemispheres or are in the States and don't know what Laser Quest is, obviously it's another laser tag system. But
it's a less good one, but still it's sad.
Well, and it's my description of Quest has always kind of been it was kind of the McDonald's of laser tag, because it was one of the very few systems, I think actually might be the only system, where, or at least currently, where the vast majority of the stores, if not all, I think it was actually all the stores, were actually all corporately held. So that gave them some extra freedom to be able to do their national tournaments. They could literally close a site down for an entire weekend to do a national tournament because it's corporate, there's money coming in from different places, we can shut this site down to be able to do a thing. It also, now with the description of it being the McDonald's of laser tag, I mean, it was mediocre, but you knew what you were going to get no matter what site you went to. As far as the equipment went, you were going to feel like you'd been masturbating with a metal penis because you had to pull the trigger a lot. Wow, that was
that's a lot of blimies for one show. Let me tell you.
So yeah, it was
after that.
it was a very fast, trying to very fast trigger pull because you could cancel by trigger pulling. The equipment wasn't always great. You were trying to find packs that which pack has the working sensor and what sensor can actually shoot at on those packs, which was actually literally part of their tournament games. Sometimes pack knowledge, which packs have which sensors you can actually hit, which is a whole other thing. Like why is that fun? But okay. But a lot of credit does have to be given to them for being such a presence in the overarching community for so long and having so many sites and actually having a a legitimate like national tournament type presence. So
yeah, I mean, the whole thing just kind of speaks to both the strengths and the weaknesses of having that kind of centralized operation. Though, on the one hand, yeah, you could just have kind of corporate sponsorship of events to shut down a whole site a week for a tournament if you needed to, and that not be taken out of the revenue of the site manager or something like that. But then something like this comes along where now all of your sites are basically endangered because the economic outlook is so poor in North America right now that you pretty much have to shutter the whole company.
So
So
it was
it's a
the
shame.
whole company, like they shut
Yeah.
all sites.
Yeah, like they literally on their corporate face or their corporate website, the announcement went up. It was sometime this week, and basically it was basically a so long and thanks for all the fish type of post. Like it's just, which really, for the number of sites that they had and having to keep them shuttered because of regional differences on things, that there wouldn't have been that many sites that could have even possibly been open. And and as anybody who either runs a business or has any experience with business, I mean, there's monthly carry costs just for real estate existing. And I mean, we've been obviously in this for 6 months now.
Are you sure it's not 6 years? It feels more like 6 years.
It does feel like 6 years at this point, but no, it's basically been since like March 13th.
Right.
And the only reason that I remember that is because Julie, my wife, was on a school trip to Europe.
That's right.
And that was the day that they got repatriated was March 13th, Friday the 13th.
What a bummer.
So, yeah, pretty much. So,
cheers, King. Nice to see you.
Yeah, King.
And that was back in the heady, naive days of, look at how bad Europe is shitting the bed. Aren't you glad to be in America?
What a bunch of dicks. No.
Oof.
And Heathens, I mean, and Heathens just put something in chat saying that some of their centers are opening under new ownership according to their Facebook. So, okay, so apparently some of them have been able to kind of survive on what's probably essentially a franchise model or
yeah, but it's at least a major restructuring though, and a lot of those sites are probably not going to survive.
So if anyone's got any spare bits, feel free to make an offer to
to Steve, and that will somehow make up for Laser Quest going bust.
That is an interesting structure though, because I've never really thought about laser tag as a like having a corporate yeah. But I mean, yeah, I suppose that like in prosperous times that would be a great structure to have, but as soon as a global pandemic hits, you're a little bit fucked, mate.
Yeah, so I mean, it like I said, it was one of those things that, I mean, you could go to a quest anywhere in the country, and I have, and you would get you would have that consistent branding, you would have that consistent experience no matter what site you went to. You would have a relatively consistent arena experience. Obviously, the arenas weren't identical, but you definitely knew when you stepped into a quest maze that you were stepping into a quest maze, because all those fucking mirrors.
They love their mirrors and cutouts.
Well, for how short the range was on the packs, it made sense. So
Cheers.
Yeah, so that it's definitely not what you think of when you think laser tag, because I mean in the Force model, like everything is essentially a franchise. People buy the equipment from Laser Force and they do their own thing. I'm sure that there are some guidelines that Laser Force has for how the equipment can be used and this, that, and the other. I'm sure those exist.
Yeah, you have licensing fees and things you have to pay now and again, but by and large, it's independent.
Yeah, it's a great thing for exposure, or limiting the amount of exposure that you have.
Yeah, but the flip side being that you then do have much less control over how the overall site experience is. So it's again, we get back to that, anything that is kind of detrimental for the laser tag industry as a whole is a sad thing.
It definitely sounds some alarm bells too, because we know that there are certainly a good number of sites, laser force sites in the U.S. that are not doing well with the pandemic, and St. George is not the norm. A lot of people have had to stay closed for a long time. Depending on exactly what kind of relief programs are available for businesses in their states, they may or may not be able to kind of get by, but it's just a bad situation. And that would be true whether health codes were preventing them from opening or whether it was just you could stay open, but that's not the kind of thing people want to do in a pandemic. People are sensible to risk. So
yeah, if
it's just not a good situation.
It depends on what the
it
situation
should
is.
be. But yes.
Wow.
So that's a conversation for a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, no, let's be clear. It's the pandemic that's hurting businesses. It's not just that, states are being mean and not letting people open.
Stupid jerk government.
Trying to stop me from sneezing on people. Where's my freedom?
Yeah, right on. Well, that's pretty sad news. There was also some heartbreaking stuff.
More sad news coming up. What a great show.
Yeah,
We're
really hitting all the downs at the end
I
of.
feel like I'm gonna bust out my emo fringe for the remainder of the podcast because it's gonna be emotional.
I was gonna say I need to bust out some Fireball for the rest of the show.
I mean, I thought you were in training anyway.
That's a different kind of training.
What's tag?
So the second more direct
for free
/ heartbreaking that came out of this week. So I think by this point everybody should be aware that the Sacramento laser force has been closed for a couple of years now, and essentially ended up closing due to some fairly ridiculous landlord fuckery. Without getting too far into the weeds on it, after some additional discussions that I've had with Yama over the last couple of days, Yama being the former owner of Laser Force Sacramento, for those of you without your decoder rings.
All around good guy.
Just suffice it to say, we all knew that he'd been fucked pretty hard by the landlord. I didn't realize quite how hard he'd been fucked by the landlord. He gave me a couple little extra pieces of information where I was just like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" So that has been the building that the site was in had basically been sitting there, waiting for something to happen with it. And that something finally started eventuating this week, where the space is being repurposed to be turned into a gym. And so the actual demo of the arena and all these structures inside of the facility has started in a really, really ironic twist of fate. The company that was hired to do the demolition for Laser Force Sacramento is a construction company that is owned by Brian and Amber Barger, who were two of the original owners of Laser Force Sacramento. So not only did they bring this did they bring it into the world, they are literally taking it right the fuck back out.
Wow.
So they were the ones who built all the original stuff in basically mid to late 1996. That facility opened in February of 97. Sean bought the facility from them in 2008, coincidentally, like right before I moved back from Auckland. So by the time I got back, it was Laser Force again. So great.
Yeah. He was like, peace, assholes.
And yeah. And yeah, so they're the ones who are doing the demo. And what I think happened was, they basically told Sean, hey, we're here to do this. And he went and kind of got some last pictures and posted them on Facebook. And there was this very confusing moment where, because of how he'd initially phrased it, it actually seemed like maybe it was coming back. Like there was this brief, like half an hour, 45-minute period where it was like, wait a minute, is there something super, what? And then
see, I'm glad I never had that impression because I was aware of what was going on behind the scenes, so I never even got my hopes up that far.
What a tease!
Yeah. So he clarified it that no, that nothing is happening. He was just there taking some final memory type pictures, and so yeah. So within if it's not already done very shortly, it's going to exist in it's going to be gone. It's going to exist nowhere except pictures and everybody's memories.
So if we're going to play again in Sacramento, we're going to need a new site and a new arena.
Yeah, we're looking at
anyone with money.
Just go.
looking at you, Oprah.
Looking at you, Oprah.
Yeah.
And you get a laser force.
Loaded.
And you get a laser force. Everybody gets tag. It like I saw the post on Facebook a couple times. And I saw it when I was in the middle of doing work or whatever. And yeah, sometimes. And it wasn't until I think I saw it on Instagram where the photos were, each individual photo is kind of larger, sort of. And it wasn't until I saw it there that I was like, oh, holy shit, like that actually hits me right, like in the gut. And so when I saw those and felt that way, all I could do was think, wow, like if I feel this way about a site that, I got to play a couple of times at, a couple of nets at, which pretty lucky. I can't imagine what, both of you and the wider Sacramento family was feeling. So yeah, it was pretty rough to see the vultures pick away at the carcass. Yeah, it sucks, man. But
because this year is just dog shit wrapped in cat shit and
set on fire.
I'm planet bullshit in the galaxy of this sucks camel dicks.
Yeah, it's definitely it was a very, very bittersweet seeing those pictures. I mean, on the one hand, I'm glad that we kind of got these last like images of, hey, this was home. This was the home away from home for a lot of years, for a lot of time, for a lot of there was a lot of good, there was a lot of bad, there was a lot of indifferent, there was a lot of
I'll say the good was in the majority.
Yeah, the good was definitely in the majority. I mean, but it comes back to something that I know we've harped on a lot this year, and even before this year, where you don't always realize just how big of a part of your life it's been. And
don't take Laser Force for granted.
Yeah, what DK said. Yeah. So it's it even for me, I mean, I haven't lived in Sacramento now for 6+ years, which is kind of a weird thing to wrap my head around. just watching that and seeing those pictures, is kind of going, well, there's 20 years of my life that's now just kind of on the trash heap of history. So
well, yeah. Speaking of trash heaps, watch this segue. Did anybody get a piece of the maze or anything to take home? Like that's kind of, I suppose this is my hoarder brain kicking in, but I'm just like, I would want to capture something. I want to take something.
I curl up with a nice piece of asbestos under my pillow every night and just sniff very deeply.
Yeah, enjoy the next 18 months that you have left. But yeah,
I mean, it looks like Odin has actually grabbed stuff. So good job, Odin.
Yeah, well done.
Nice.
It's that sort of stuff you would kind of hope the community would go on and take. Odin thinks that Venom has the dog tags. I mean, and I can't imagine that it would be like Yama, that would take anything home, because that it was his. And so I would imagine that where it holds most value would be in the hands of you guys, the people that were the patrons there for so long.
See, now you're just making me think, if we would have just dismantled it very carefully and had everybody take just a little piece home, we could have just reconstructed it someplace else.
I mean, isn't it?
Where were you last week to bring in this brilliant idea?
Shit!
I don't think that's how that works, bro.
No, probably not.
That's not how that works.
Your dad tried on him? Yeah, right on.
Yeah, there were multiple discussions about trying to get that building back, but nothing really came of it. And the unfortunate thing is that had the business kept going through a lot of the shit that was happening that started next year, I don't know if they could have survived the closures from COVID either. So we might have been having this conversation anyway. I mean, I don't know. A lot of things depend, but I know it's rough going.
Yeah,
I think I would much rather, if you're gonna make me choose, I would much rather have been having this conversation that COVID and it just doesn't work anymore. We can't make the site work because of the restrictions that are in place. I would much rather have had the closure conversation based on that, which still would have sucked. Don't get me wrong, it wouldn't have sucked. But I would much rather have had the closure discussion based on that, rather than this scumbag landlord seriously fucked Sean over.
Yeah,
the levels to which the fuckery
that's a conversation
are just off the fucking charts.
That's a conversation that is not really for us to have. So
no, but
commercial landlords, you're all fucking scumbags there. I'll just say it right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just about to start a new business, actually.
As long as not being a landlord, you're cool.
Yeah. I'm gonna
way to go, Steve Trump.
All of this, a wig. It's all a wig. I'm just gonna.
He's actually very orange.
Yeah, I'm gonna sidestep all of this. I could be a landlord and rent us. That's not a bad idea. But then
all will be forgiven. It's as long as you rent to laser tag people and keep them open permanently, then they'll be fine.
I mean, I can't promise the second part. Jim's a sniffing. It sucks, man. It really sucks, and it sucked it sucked the whole time that it's happened. And how long have they been closed now?
February of last year,
right? So
was when
over a year.
they closed.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean there was another closure before that was for a little over a year before that as well. And then there was the roughly 4-year interlude when they were a zone site in between switching between Laser 4 systems. But still, the site was there. That arena was there in one form or another since, it opened in February 97, like Chris said.
That's pretty good. Who? Sorry, who said?
Stan. that guy.
That's a pretty good run. That's a pretty good run for a business to have.
Sorry, that guy. I forget where people are.
Yeah, down here.
Stevo's job is really easy on this.
Damn. What?
That was terrible radio. We do not normally do terrible radio. All three of us talking over each other at once. Oh, that was fucking bad, guys. Come on.
DK's
live on air.
Like tripping. As soon as he said Chris, I was like, "Who the fuck is that?"
I don't know who the fuck this Chris guy is.
Yeah,
Chris is my business name. This is not a business transaction. So.
Business name.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look. Do you guys want to say anything more about that, or are we?
Fuck no! I'm depressed enough.
we're looking to put that nail in the coffin.
In that coffin. Yeah.
I would rather have the conversation of when we're going to open another site in Sacramento. I'm done looking backward. It's only forward from now on.
Yeah. I mean,
I can't say that I've made emotional peace with the closure, because I haven't, but I can't wallow in it anymore.
Look, it's an interesting thing, because like, if coming from somebody who's had a decent amount of grief over the last 2 years, it's
fair.
It never really goes away, and I don't see it really being much different for losing LTC, because like you said, then like that, to lose that like instrumental part of your life, for that to go, there's a hole there, and that's where grief likes to live, in that hole with its dirty grief fog. Right. On that note,
please tell us more about the hole.
No. I've already cried once on stream. I'm gonna leave that until next year, I think. Did you guys have anything else that you wanted to talk about this week?
Well, we do have some housekeeping to talk about in coming weeks, because there's about to be some time zone fuckery happening.
Now, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you'll know how much of a fan DK is of daylight saving times. Do you guys both have daylight? It is your first tune in. Stupid beans. I was like, when is he gonna show up? I don't think you were here.
Yeah, Jesus. I named an award after him for the Aliens Rewatchables. He didn't even bother to watch that one.
What a jerk. It's not like you've been doing anything else. Stupid quarantine. No, it's very nice to have you here, sir. You've been chatting along. I see you all this pod. I'm talking about prior to this pod.
And yes, all U.S. states have daylight saving except for Arizona and Hawaii.
Right. Okay. So I don't
Hawaii
know
because it's sunny there all the time. It doesn't matter what they do to their clocks. And Arizona because we're Arizona. Fuck the rest of you. We're different.
They're like, we're the same as Hawaii, right? It's always sunny here. Nah, bro.
Not even a little.
I'm not sure what our viewer numbers are like in either of those places. But it's in the place that it does count. Do you guys know the dates around those, or
I think it's like the first weekend of November here in the States.
Yeah, okay. And so you guys go back.
Yeah, we're going back. You're going forward. So that makes term coordination very interesting.
Right.
So I think the plan for now is we're going to keep the show at the same time local to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct. which means
So I don't know what time that is off the top of my head in Melbourne or Brisbane or other places.
Everything shifts back.
Yeah. So for people in the States, in future weeks, the show is going to be an hour earlier than it usually is. And come November, it's going to be 2 hours earlier.
Good Lord.
Than it is right now.
So it'll be, you finish up at school, you have an afternoon snack of 2-minute noodles, and you sit down and you watch your old pals on the Resupply talk about.
Yep.
Yeah. Nobody cares about Australia. Brutal. Melbourne goes ahead. Muzz, do you know when that is? Because from what I remember, actually the boys told me. I can't remember these things. I will figure it out on a weekly basis. But basically, for our New Zealand viewers, time is going to remain at 1 o'clock. Everyone ask Google how that affects you.
Yes. But it means tomorrow for D&D, this is actually unrelated to daylight saving, but it brought it up for us. D&D tomorrow will still be at 1 p.m. New Zealand, but that'll be 10 a.m. Melbourne and Brisbane time, I believe, and it'll be 5 p.m. Pacific over here in the States.
So I think Melbourne shifts and then shifts back. So I think it goes from 2 to 3 to 2 again. Cool. But Brisbane doesn't.
Because Queensland also doesn't have it.
Bunch of dicks.
This whole daylight savings. Yeah, this whole daylight savings time thing is the most epic levels of bullshit ever, and just needs to go the fuck away.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad. It's literally bad enough that we're trying to do this show across 3 time zones just by default.
They start moving around.
We're gonna sprinkle a little bit of daylight saving times in there for some of us.
None of us live in Arizona.
That would just been one bridge too far, I think.
But yeah, we'll try and keep everyone in the loop on Facebook, on Discord. Hang on, we got Discord. There we go. And Facebook. There we go. That one there. I haven't set one up for YouTube yet, but it's around. We'll try and keep everyone sort of up to date and, let you know the day of, an hour before, all that stuff. Yep. The same stuff that we've been doing.
We're trying to keep it constant on G&D's time since he is engineering this show. So the rest of us will kind of move to accommodate him.
That's right.
Because everybody knows that without Steve-O, there is no show, because you don't really want to listen to me and DK talk between ourselves. Like, Steve-O is the actual personality of the show. Me and DK are just, ancillary characters to Steve-O's madness.
Yeah, I am the sizzle to what is the DK and Than steak. So we'll be back tomorrow. With D&D, which I can't wait for.
You can wait, and you will.
Shit. I was hoping that my lighting rig was going to turn up. It's a box of lights. I was hoping that my lights would turn up so I could, program some cool shit to happen. But maybe we'll have to wait until, the next campaign for dynamic lighting to be a thing.
We have dynamic lighting in Roll20. Isn't that enough for everybody? Come on.
Look,
our faces are that big on the screen anyway.
I heard program. Hey, Beans, I could probably use some expertise actually, so maybe I'll hit you up. Yeah, because I want to program some stuff to happen with Hydrate Bot. Steven is huge TFO in the world. You damn right.
The only thing I hate more than daylight saving is that Hydrate Bot.
I mean, the Hydrate Bot hasn't really made too much of an appearance this week. I was going to add some sound effects, but after what happened the last couple of weeks, I don't know if that's a good idea.
It's not good for Steve's ADHD.
Cheers.
Stop putting in sound effects.
So Al very nicely sent me through some voice acting work, and there is a couple that I've associated with the Thunderdome Thursday stream that we do, where he basically is the voice of God, and people have
That is correct.
That does seem very appropriate. Yes,
And
for sure.
this week, old guy next door got very angry at the voice of God. So check out some of the clips if you want to check it out. But they sound great. But yeah, I want to do some of that stuff with the lighting. Is where I was going with that. Tuesday, I bought a new gimbal. I believe is the correct term. I bought a gimbal rig thing for our streams. It's around here somewhere. For our streams at Laser Force. So hopefully we can catch some better angles of the action. This thing here, one of these bad boys.
It helps you rotate and keep things steady.
That's right. Not that it matters because everything's set up on a tripod, but hopefully it'll mean I can put it up somewhere high, get a low down angle, and have motherfuckers stop crashing into my shit.
Good luck with that.
We'll be back with Thunderdome Thursday. On Thursday this week, we're gonna play Quake, which we were supposed to do last week, but reasons. Should have Al redo the controller voice to say, Steve, throw the entire Fall Guys match. Oh no. That was a low point. Low point for me, high point for everyone else.
High point for the stream for sure.
Oh, absolutely. But come hang out with us. Come enjoy a great Resupply show. Because that's what we're here for. We're here to create mediocre entertainment.
That sounds accurate. Yeah.
I sense a new shirt coming. We're here to create mediocre entertainment.
Hygiene Genie, I believe, is the new one coming. But Hygiene Genie. Smash another shot of Fireball. But for this week, I've been Guy Next Door.
I've been DK.
And I've been Than.
Always remember to backtrack, kids. We will see you. We'll see you tomorrow, but we'll see you next week. Have fun.
Later.
I've been throwing daggers in the night. I've been chasing all the stars, stealing all their lights. The cut so sharp, cut so deep. If they seem to hit their target, must be what we reap. 'Cause you don't know what I know. You don't feel the way I feel. All these places I wanna go makes me wonder if my looks could kill. I've been throwing daggers in my dreams. If they seem to hit their target, it's harder than it seems. 'Cause you don't know what I know. walking my own path. Gave up all my mysteries just to get a laugh. You keep me hanging on so tight. Sometimes I just have to wonder, do you know wrong from right? 'Cause you don't know.